Hi guys, I don't know if this is a new video or continuation of a video. I don't know when the last time I picked y'all up. However, y'all can see I am home in my bed. I have an adjustable bed frame, which I highly recommend. And I have my recliner, my what is it? Movable recliner as well, or lift recliner. I highly recommend both. I hope the quality of this is okay. It's looking kind of, maybe it's the lighting, I'm not sure, y'all. But hey, y'all, I think the last time I actually talked to y'all was when I was in Miami and my friend Kasana. We were at, I think I wanted a tropical smoothie because I was like, maybe I can finally drink something. But just to find out, I still couldn't drink or eat. So today is Thursday, July 17th, 2025, and it's around 8:30. I just took my antibiotic maybe like an hour ago, 45 minutes to an hour ago. And I have so much to update y'all on, y'all. This has been a journey, and yet I still have no regrets. It has been a journey, y'all. Like, y'all wouldn't even believe what has transpired and the days I was in Miami. So let's get into it. I'm going to break this into two different parts because I want to be as detailed as possible. And this is not to be negative. This is just to, make you aware and let you all know that everybody's journey is different when it comes to this whole mommy makeover, this whole tummy tuck, and this whole ordeal is so different. So like I said, I think the last time when I talked to y'all, I was telling y'all how nauseous I was. I couldn't keep nothing down. So boom, let's start back from the beginning. So Monday, July the 7th is when I had my makeover, and that consists of lipo to the flanks, the ab. Y'all have to excuse me in advance because when I talk fast, I get very winded. So I might be taking breaks in between time so I can just give myself a little break. But yes, it's lipo to the flanks, the abdomen, an extended tummy tuck, of course, abdominoplasty, muscle repair, a mini back lift, and a natural breast lift, y'all can see. If y'all can see, I bought this post-op surgical bra at one of the local Fajas. It was called Fajas Imas in Miami. She was wonderful. Shout out to Sarah, who helped me with my Faja getting fitted. She was so patient, so amazing. But anywho, so yes, as I told y'all, my surgeon required that you stay in the hospital for 24 hours. And during that time, I was nauseated, but I just felt like it was, the effect of anesthesia and me being post-op and me taking pain medications and not being able to eat nothing, blah, 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 blah. That's what I thought. So mind y'all, I am a post-surgical trauma nurse, so I see this all the time. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I got discharged Tuesday mid-morning. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, y'all, I could not eat. Excuse me, y'all. I could not keep nothing, absolutely not even a sip of water down. Like, I mean, nothing. I could keep nothing down whatsoever. So with that being said, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I didn't eat. I didn't drink nothing. I was staying in communication with my doctor. He was giving me nausea medication, checking up on me, and I was like, yo, I had this terrible gas in my stomach, and it would cramp so bad. It was like this sharp pain that would shoot throughout my stomach, and then it'll stop. But it'll hurt so bad, y'all, that the pain was like worse than contractions, worse than period cramps. It was like a pain that I just cannot describe. And it would shoot throughout my stomach, and then it'll get trapped, and then it'll cause me to become nauseated to the point where I throw up, and it would contract so bad that I would throw up. But because I haven't eaten or drank anything in a couple of days, I didn't have nothing to throw up. So I'm sitting there dry heaving because I haven't eaten anything, and as I'm throwing up, I'm feeling all the muscle repairs that was repaired in my stomach. And at that point, the first time I actually vomited stomach acid, I felt like I felt and heard something pop, but it's okay. So yeah, so Thursday night, I told Kasana, I said, so all throughout the days, I have been telling her I'm so miserable. I am so miserable. I can't drink, I can't eat, I can't take my meds. Like the regular he gave me wasn't working. It wasn't that I was in pain. It was just that my stomach would cramp so bad because of the gas pain I was having. Rewind when I was in it, when I was at the when I was recovering that one day, I did have to pee when I got discharged, so I did pee. Passing gas and all that stuff like that, that's not a requirement. But once again, let's consider I was under anesthesia, pain medicine. I wasn't eating, so they just figured, we all just figured that the bowels would come back and I would eventually pass gas and have a bowel movement. So, yeah. So that being said, Thursday came and I told my friend Kasana, I am miserable. Like I was so miserable. Like I can't even explain to y'all how miserable I was between being nauseated and in that cramping, sharp pain in my stomach. And I remember telling Kasana, if this pain in my stomach can go away, mind you, it wasn't pain from like the surgery. It wasn't like my incisions didn't hurt. My abdomen was a little sore because I kept throwing up or dry heaving. My drains were kind of annoying. They just sting. They just stung a little teeny bit, but they won't bother me at the time. They don't bother me, but I was like, if I can just get this nauseated feeling together and this little gas pain situated, I'd be good. But I was like, I'm so miserable. And my doctor had been told me, go to the ED if you need to, and I'll follow up. So I was like, no, I'm going to just, let it pass. Because they said it's the first couple of days is your worst day. I'm going to just see what happens. Baby, Thursday came and I just could not tolerate it any further. It was so bad that I called my doctor, and he gave me his personal cell phone number. Side note, y'all, shout out to my doctor, Dr. Mark Bruto, that's out of Miami, Florida. That doctor is 10 out of 10 chef kiss. That man followed me the entire hospital stay. He made a personal visit every single day to visit me throughout my hospital stay. Like, that man called me. I have a cell phone number. My doctor is the GOAT. The true GOAT. Do you hear me? Shout out Dr. Bruto. Hands down, 10 out of 10. Anyway, so I called him like 11 o'clock that night because I ain't want to call him, but I was like, I'm so miserable. I said, Dr. Bruto, I can't take this no more. I'm miserable. I'm in pain. I can't eat. I can't drink. I can't take antibiotics. Imagine at this point, I was taking antibiotics in the hospital. So it had been Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 days of no antibiotics. And I had supposed to be taking antibiotics 4 times a day. So that's 12 pills I have missed. But I had told my doctor, I can't eat, drink, keep nothing down. Which he had been told me to go to the emergency room if I felt the need to, if my symptoms worsened. But anyway, Thursday I decided to go. Thursday night, I called him. I said, I'm going to the emergency room. I can't take this no more. I'm miserable. He said, okay, let me know let me know when you get there. And in the morning time, I'm gonna come. He said, when you get there, call me. I got there, called him he called me actually like at 12 in the morning. And he was like, you good? I was like, I'm just in the ED. And they're doing some exams. Of course, it was a long wait from like 11 to 2. And I was so dehydrated, y'all, that it took 8 people and 3 of them being residents with 3 different ultrasounds. That's how dehydrated and flat my veins were. An ultrasound, guided IV, couldn't even get my veins. That's how I knew I was dehydrated. So fast forward, they did a CT. Of course, they did a chest x-ray. They came back okay. Because I was like, something going on. So, just to rule everything, my labs came back normal. Of course, I was dehydrated, electrolytes. I had electrolyte imbalance, of course. So the attendant in the ED came back and she was like, we're going to do a CT. An abdominal x-ray. I said, okay, cool. So shout out to the team, the hospital staff at Jackson Memorial ED and on the floor, because y'all rock, bro. Like, when I say y'all, that was my first time ever sitting in the hospital, minus having my daughter. But that was my first time ever being admitted under an emergency situation and having an amazing team. Mine is the ED being crazy, per usual, and them taking 50 million years to actually get stuff done. But once everything started rolling, I had the ED nurse. She was amazing. She took very good care of me. Like, she the one that got me to the back. Shout out to her. Forgot your name. The ED charge. He was amazing. Shout out to you. Forgot your name. All the people that tried to do IV on me that didn't give up, that made sure that I was taken care of. Shout out to y'all. Amazing. Once I got to the back, y'all, that's when the holdup was, because Jackson Memorial Hospital ED is so weird, so different. So it's like you're in a room, but then they have people in the hallways with the curtains and stuff like that or whatever. But anyway, so I did have a little teeny room that like a little bathroom. I think I have a picture I can insert. I don't know if I did. I didn't do much recording in the hospital because I was just so out of it, y'all. And my focus and my goal was to get better. So yeah, I wanted to document the rawness of it all, but I just couldn't. And on top of that, when I got admitted to the hospital, because I was in acute care, the room I was in, it was a shared room, which wasn't bad. It was very weird. I didn't really care for it, but it wasn't bad. But anyway, so when they took me to the back and I got to the room, girl, the room was so small. But anyway, so they was trying to do an IV in me. And the minute the resident was going to do an IV, they had called a code. Like, the person right across from me, girl, heart attack. So they coding this patient for like an hour. Like, me and Kasana is literally at the door watching everything, and you can hear everything being called, the patient heart rate going. Like, it was crazy. And we work in medicine, but to see that like in an emergency setting, crazy. So then they try to come back again to give me IV, and let alone another person had came in with a cardiac arrest. So anyway, finally, they were able to get me some fluids and an IV because I needed a CT scan with contrast, and you need an IV for that. So the attendant came in, and she was like, they did the abdominal x-ray, and she did say like I have a little blockage. So they didn't know whether it was a small bowel obstruction or an ileus. But see, a small bowel obstruction comes from you having several surgeries, and those surgeries create scar tissue. So because I've never had surgery before, it wasn't a small bowel obstruction because this was my first surgery. When I had my daughter, I had her vaginally. So literally, I have never been cut open at all. So we could have ruled out small bowel obstruction. But of course, one thing about trauma centers, they're going to run every single exam and test, and I'm okay with that. Let's do a side on y'all. I'm about to talk medicine. So going to a level 1 trauma center, it's a lot, and it takes longer. It's a lot going on, and if you're not in an emergent situation, you will be pushed. If you're not an urgent situation, you'll be pushed to the side because you're an emergency. So the thing about it is, going to a trauma center I highly recommend over going to any other hospital, because they're going to run every test, every procedure. Like, you don't got to keep going back and forth. They're going to rule a lot of stuff out. So just a side note, you might not want to go to a trauma center because of all the negative stuff you hear about it. But I promise you, those facilities are the main ones with all the technology you need. They have all the specialties you need, versus going to a smaller hospital where they got to transfer you somewhere because they don't have it. So go to a trauma center if you can. The care is going to be a lot, like I said, going on because it's a trauma center. But I promise you, they're going to run every test, every lab. They're going to do everything under the sun to rule out everything. You're going to have your answer. But anyway, so the doctor came in after the abdominal scan, and she told me that I had a blockage in my lower intestine. But mind y'all, when the gas travels, I feel it literally stopping in my lower stomach. So she was like, you know what, at this point, because there is a blockage, I'm not saying it has to be anything surgically done. It could just be medically done. Surgical done means having surgery. And then medical means just letting it resolve on its own, which I was never going back under to no. So, I mean, if an emergency, yes. So she said, this is a surgery situation. So I have consulted the surgery team. I said, okay, bet. So boom, surgery team had came in. After that, I finally got an IV. I finally got my CT with the contrast. The surgery whole team came in. It was like, hey, you have a blockage. Like, we want to decompress your stomach because you are swollen. We know you just had surgery, but you want to decompress your stomach. We're gonna put an NG tube in. And I was like, okay. At this point, I was willing to do everything because I was sick of feeling miserable. So she said, I want you to blow both noses and see which one is more patent. And it was the left one. I said, okay, cool, bet. So she tried to put the NG tube in, y'all. Now I know why people hate NG tubes. Y'all, she put that NG tube in and it would not go. It was like resisting. Like something was blocking the tube from going in to the point where my nose just started pouring out blood. So they got me cleaned up. She apologized, got me cleaned up. Lo and behold, we tried another nose. At this point, it was easier to go in, but y'all, it got coiled in my throat. And coiled means it was wrapping around. Because when she put it in my throat and she was going down, it was going down and then it just got coiled. And it was a thick NG tube. So I'm already having trouble breathing because I'm tight. This is only 3 or 4 day post out. So I'm tight, I'm bloated, haven't eaten, I'm nauseous, I'm not feeling good. So it being coiled in my throat is making me gag, making me vomit. I can't breathe. And it's literally blocking my airway. And I was like, take it out, I can't breathe. And she was like, okay, I'm gonna pull back a little bit. So as she pulling back, it's getting more coiled. Y'all, next thing I know, I just slung her hand and I pulled it out. And then I started bleeding all over again. I felt so bad because she was so sweet, so gentle. But it's like, bro, I'm just miserable. Just leave me alone. So she said, oh my God. So the team felt so bad because they seen how miserable I was. And the fact that the NG tube did not go in the first nostril and it was bleeding. And she was like, I've never had somebody bleed like this. When I tell y'all, it like blood was just like a water fountain pouring out of my nose. The left one pouring out of my nose. Like a mess. And then I'm throwing up because I'm gagging at this point. I'm throwing up because now the cramps are coming. It was just a mess. So they felt so bad. So they was like, you know what? We're going to talk to the attending. We're going to get you hydrated, get you some nausea medications, and do a bowel rest. And we're not going to put an NG tube in, but we just want you to know that you're not going nowhere. And I was like, I know. She was like, yeah, you're getting admitted, and you're going to be here for a couple of days. And I was like, a couple of days? Y'all, I'm thinking, I had already knew 2 to 3 days. 2 days minimum, 3 days max. I had already knew I was going to be admitted for 2 full days. I already knew. So finally, the attendant came in. Well, actually, I had already talked to the team. They already thought I was going to be in the med center for. So they moved me to another room. It was like a admission discharge unit type, like a transition type room where to make more room in the ED, you move people to another part of the hospital, and then you move them to another part of the hospital when it's time for them to be admitted to the floor. So I understood everything. I didn't tell nobody I was a nurse because I don't like to do that because a lot of people feel a little uncomfortable when you tell them you're a nurse. But, I'm pretty sure they knew because, they probably know because it's probably my chart somewhere, number 1. And number 2 is probably because my medical terminology. Like the questions I was asking, your typical patient's not going to ask those type of medical questions. Or the way I asked, they're not going to ask. They wouldn't know how to ask those type of questions. So I'm pretty sure I gave myself away, which I don't care. Which, I was still nice. We all got along. It was actually not a bad hospital stay whatsoever. I am officially 11 days post-op mommy makeover, which is got lipo to the flanks, the abdomen, tummy tuck, abdominoplasty, breast lift, and a mini back lift. I am so swollen, as you can see, my face compared to the video I made yesterday, which I gotta finish. It's so swollen, it's different. I'm in my recliner chair versus being in my room because it's just the first week. It's just hard to get comfortable when you're swollen and stuff like that. I just talked to my doctor's office and I told Angie, that I feel like a can of biscuits. Like I'm about to pop. My girlfriend is tight, swollen, and she said your vag area have a mind of its own. It doesn't want to do so. I had got a phone call yesterday when I was recording the journey, so I am going to finish that. But I did want to cut in just to say today is day 10 post-op. Mine is the swelling, which when you swell, it's kind of hard to breathe. And I'm so gassy, so gassy. I had 2 bowel movements yesterday, which I'm not complaining, considering the first week, days 1 through 7 or 1 through 6, I couldn't do anything as far as having a bowel movement and peeing. So I am having regular bowel movements. I ate some tuna fish yesterday, a little bit of chips. I knew better, but I didn't think it would swell me up like this. So now I'm just literally eating oatmeal. I'm gonna have a friend go to the store for me, and I'm gonna just get some eggs, and I'm gonna just do egg sandwiches. So egg white with toast with 100% wheat bread, toast, and some fruit, and that's all I'm gonna do. That's it. Like the way I feel, I'm gonna do some rotisserie chicken as well. Other than that, I do not want to feel this way. I feel so, it's not miserable compared to the first week, but I'm just so swollen. I'm just so swollen, I don't like it. And then it's like, because I'm so swollen, it causes me to bend over more because I can't stand up straight because of the pressure on my back. So yeah, I just wanted to update y'all with that part. But continue watching. Thank you all. Bye.